Okay, today what we're going to do is we're going to do a few things. We're going to add a clear button right in here, and then we're going to, down here, we're going to add an encode button. We're not actually going to do the encoding yet, but we're going to make the button and add some functionality to it, some new things. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to drag a new button in here, and I'm going to edit the text, and I'm going to call this clear. And then I'm going to change the variable name, and I'm going to call this clear button. I realized I actually made a little mistake. This should be lowercase c. This should be Pascal case. I mean, camel case, not Pascal case. But I'm not going to re-record the thing just for that. And so now I'm going to double click on it, and now what we have here is the event listener. And so this again is what's going to happen when we click the button here. So I'm going to get rid of the comment here, and I'm going to add some code, and what we want to do is we want to write nothing basically in the message repeat label. So I'll type message repeat label, select it, and then I'm going to start to type set text and select it. And then what I'm doing here, notice it's the same as what I did up here, except I'm putting a double quote in here, which means nothing. I'm going to write nothing in there. That's going to clear it. And so now I'll go back to the design, and why don't I just run it just to see what happens. I'll try it out. And so when it comes up, I'll type in a message, have a nice day, for example. And then I'm going to submit it. You'll see it'll appear down there. And now I'm going to clear, and it's cleared, which is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to quit the program. Now I'm going to, first I need to make some room down here. So I'll just drag the message repeat level up there, and I'll put the button in there. This is going to be the encode button. So first I'll just edit the text in it, and I'll write encode, and then I'm going to change the variable name, and I'm going to call it the encode decode button. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, Jim, this doesn't say encode decode, it just says encode. But we're going to change that later, so it'll switch back and forth. So first, right now I'll just call it encode decode button. Now here's the thing. What I need to do here, this is important, that I don't want this to work if there's nothing up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable it. I'm going to make sure that when there's no message up here, it's going to be grayed out and it won't work. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to click it. We're going to go down to where it says properties, okay? And so now what happens is this is the properties window that pops up. There's a bazillion things you can change about how it works. What we want to do is we want to turn off, it's enabled right now. In other words, that it works. We want to turn that off. So I'm going to scroll down to where it says enabled, right? You see that? And here's the little checkbox right there. And I'm going to check it, and I'm going to turn it off. Okay, so it's now disabled, and watch how it looks now when I do that. You'll see now, it's grayed out. So now I have the button is all grayed out. Now, what I need to do now, when I put text in here, the button needs to be enabled. It needs to turn on, and that means I need to change event listener here. But you notice there's no event listener just built into a text label, and there's a reason for that, because normally we don't expect a text label to do anything except just sit there. But this text label isn't going to just sit there, it's going to change. But you notice down here I have a thing that says events, and if I go down here, I'm going to see there's a whole bunch of different event listeners. And see that? I've got a bazillion different kinds of event listeners to choose from. The one we want is the property change. We want something to happen when the property changes, that is, it goes from having nothing to having something in it. So I'm going to choose property change, and then I'm going to choose property change again. Now, so now I've got a new event listener, right, that says, you can't see it up here, but it says message repeat property change. And so in here, this is what's going to happen when it goes from having nothing to having something, or having something to having nothing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to delete the to-do comment. I wish that wasn't even there. And I'm going to type if message repeat label. And if the text, we're going to get the text. So I'll type get text, which is just going to get what's in here right now. And I'm going to say type equals, and this is better if you might be familiar with the double equals here. Normally I do like double equals to see if it's the same, but this is better actually. If the dot equals often is really better than typing the double equals if you want to see if something if something is equal to something, and we want to see if it's equal to nothing, which is the double quotes. And I'll put in the semicolon, but we need to do one more thing here, because it's not actually we want to see if it is equal to the double quotes, we want to see if it's not equal to the double quotes. And so not in computing is usually an exclamation point, and the way we do it is we put an exclamation point right at the beginning right here. That means this whole thing is not true, okay? That's not equal to equal to nothing, right? So I'm going to add in an exclamation point. Now I'm going to add in my curly brackets. So I'm making an if statement here. So if you haven't done this before, right, this is an if statement. If something is true, if whatever is inside here is true, in this case if it's not true, because we put the exclamation point afterwards. And now I'm going to put an open quote. I'll hit enter and I do a close quote. In here is what's going to actually happen if that thing is true, or is in this case is not true. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to say message repeat label. I'm going to say encode decode button, and now I'm going to say set enabled. I'm going to choose set enabled, so that's going to see change it, set whether that's, now this is in here is going to be a Boolean, true or false. In this case we want it to be enabled, so I'm going to say true. So that's going to make it enabled. But also if the message goes away, like if we press our clear button, I want to make it unenabled again. And so I'm going to put in what's called an else statement. And if you've done any computing, you might know this, right? This is just saying if this is true, do this thing. If it's not true, then do whatever is in here, right? Well, this is what's going to happen if it actually is equal to nothing. So if it actually is equal to nothing, we're going to turn on the message repeat label, or the encode decode button, and we're going to do set enabled to false, because that's going to make it that's going to make it not work. So now let's go back here and let's try it out and let's see how it works. So I'll enter the message. I'm going to say, okay, have a nice day. I'll submit, and look, there it's working. And now I press clear, and it's not. And now that's it. So next week we're going to actually write the code that's going to make this encode button work, that's going to put this into some kind of a secret code. Not very secret, but a little bit secret, which is a good start. See you then.